Hey guys, what if a single accusation could send you to a frozen prison at the edge of the world? Siberia's labor camps were places of brutal forced labor, starvation, and secrets the Soviet Union tried to erase from history. But what really happened behind those barbed wire fences? Before we go deeper into this story, I want to say something to you, our cozy little history community. If you enjoy these journeys into the past, a like and subscribe would mean the world to us. It's what keeps this channel alive and helps us bring you more relaxing bedtime stories filled with mystery, wonder, and warmth. Now, let's step back into that frozen Leningrad apartment together. Close your eyes and imagine it's 4 a.m., 1937, and a fist pounds on your door. The sound echoes like a gunshot in the quiet of your Soviet apartment. Your heart races. You know who's coming. The pounding grows louder, relentless, shaking the thin wooden door of your small apartment in Leningrad. You stumble out of bed, the cold floor biting your bare feet. Your wife clutches your arm, her eyes wide with dread, while your daughter huddles under a blanket, whispering, "Papa, what's happening?" You want to answer, to soothe her, but the door splinters open before you can speak. Two men in dark coats storm in, their boots thudding like war drums. They're NKVD, the secret police, their faces carved from stone, eyes glinting with authority. One shoves a paper in your face, a warrant, the words blurred in the dim lamplight. "You're under arrest," he barks, "for anti-Soviet agitation." You try to protest, your voice trembling. "There's been a mistake. I'm just a teacher." But the officer cuts you off. 10 minutes to pack. Move. Your hands shake as you grab a coat, a scarf, a pair of boots, instinct telling you to choose warmth, though nothing will shield you from what's coming. You glance at the bookshelf, where a dog-eared copy of Pushkin sits, a single underlined poem, now evidence of your crime. The other officer tears through your belongings, tossing letters and photos to the floor like ash. Your wife presses a woolen hat into your hands, tears streaking her face. "Don't forget us," she whispers. You nod, but the words choke in your throat as you're pushed out the door, your daughter's soft sob echoing behind you. Outside, the night is black, the air sharp with frost. A van waits, its engine growling a black raven. The prisoners call it a beast that swallows lives. You're shoved inside, bodies pressed so tight you can barely breathe. A man next to you, his glasses cracked, mutters, "I only told a joke about Stalin's mustache." Another, a woman with a bruised cheek, stares blankly ahead, clutching a small bundle. The van lurches forward, and you're carried into the unknown, the city's lights fading like a dream you'll never reclaim. The journey to the prison is a blur of jolts and darkness, the smell of sweat and fear thick in the air. At the station, you're herded into a cell, the walls damp and scrawled with desperate scratchings, names, dates, prayers. Hours bleed into days, maybe weeks. Interrogators summon you at odd hours, their voices sharp as blades. Confess. They demand, accusing you of spying for foreign powers, plotting against the state crimes you've never heard of. Sleep deprivation clouds your mind. A bare bulb burns your eyes. One officer leans close, his breath sour. "Sign this, and it's easier for everyone." You don't sign, not yet. but the weight of exhaustion presses harder each night. Finally, a trial, if you can call it that. 3 minutes in a smoky room, a judge barely glancing at you before pronouncing 10 years corrective labor. No appeal, no explanation. You're a number now, not a name. Just another body for the Gulag's endless hunger. They march you to a train station where a cattle car waits, its wooden slats splintered, its stench a mix of rust and despair. You're one of 80 crammed inside, though the faded sign reads capacity, 8 cows. There's no room to sit, only to stand shoulder to shoulder, your breath clouding in the freezing air. A single barred window lets in slivers of gray light, and a hole in the floor serves as a toilet, its edges crusted with filth. The train groans to life, and the journey begins a relentless, rocking purgatory. Days blend into nights, marked only by the creak of wheels and the moans of the sick. Guards slide in rations once a day, 300 grams of black bread, hard as stone, and a cup of thin soup that tastes of cabbage and defeat. You clutch your bread, knowing it's the difference between life and death. Some prisoners fight for crumbs, their fists blooding noses in desperation. Others slump against the walls, too weak to move. When a man collapses, his breath is gone, the guards don't stop. They stack his body in a corner, calling him lost cargo. You see a woman lick condensation from the rusted wall. Her lips cracked, and you do the same, the metallic tang barely easing your thirst. The cold seeps deeper as the train crawls north toward Siberia's frozen heart. You try to sleep standing, your legs numb, your coat too thin to fight the wind whistling through the slats. You think of your daughter's face, her small hand waving as you left. It's the only warmth you can summon. After what feels like weeks, maybe, the train screeches to a halt. The doors slide open, and a blast of icy air hits you like a fist. You stumble out, blinking against blinding snow, your boots sinking into drifts. Wooden watchtowers rise like sentinels, their searchlights cutting through the dusk. Barbed wire stretches endlessly, caging the vast taiga that surrounds you. A guard, his rifle slung low, smirks. Welcome to Kolyma, your new home until you die. You're marched to a processing shed, the air thick with the smell of wet wool and fear. Guards strip you, shave your head with a dull blade, and douse you with scalding water they call disinfection. It burns your skin, but you're too dazed to cry out. They toss you a uniform, a patched jacket missing buttons, boots that pinch your toes, and a cap that won't cover your ears. Your name is gone, replaced by a number stitched onto your sleeve. You're no longer a teacher, a father, a person, just a tool for the state's endless projects. The camp sprawls before you, a maze of low barracks and work sites under a sky heavy with snow. You're assigned to a brigade, tasked with felling trees in the taiga or digging canals through frozen earth. The workday stretches 12 to 14 hours, starting at 5 a.m. with a roll call that feels like a ritual of survival. You stand in the dark, breath clouding. As guards count heads, their shouts sharp against the wind. If someone's missing dead or escaped, the count drags on, and you shiver until your toes go numb. Breakfast is a fist-sized lump of bread, 400 grams if you're lucky, and a bowl of watery soup. Its warmth gone before it reaches your stomach. You learn to eat slowly, savoring each crumb, because hunger is a beast that never sleeps. Your first day at the work site is a blur of pain. You swing a pickaxe, its handle splintering your palms, while the ground resists like iron. The quota tons of earth moved, or trees felled looms impossible, and falling short means less bread tomorrow. Your boots, too small, rub blisters raw, and your jacket lets the wind cut through like a knife. Guards patrol, their batons ready for anyone who slows. One prisoner, a boy barely 20, stumbles and earns a blow to the head. He doesn't get up. You want to help, but a glance from another prisoner stops you, a warning to save your strength. In the barracks that night, you collapse onto a wooden bunk shared with 3 others. The air thick with the stench of unwashed bodies and infection. Lice crawl across your skin, and the single stove barely fights the cold. You hear coughing, a constant rasp signaling tuberculosis or worse. Your bunkmate, a woman with graying hair and sharp eyes, introduces herself as Anna, a former professor arrested for owning banned books. She leans close, her voice low but steady. "Save your strength, or you won't last a week," she says. "Move slow, look busy, and guard your bread like gold." Her words are your first lesson in survival, a spark of guidance in the darkness. You lie awake, the barracks creaking, the wind howling outside. You think of your family, their faces fading like a photograph left in the sun. The hunger in your gut feels alive, gnawing at your resolve. Yet Anna's voice lingers, a reminder that survival is possible, even here. You clutch your coat tighter, the fabric worn but still yours, a tether to the person you were. Now in your warm bed, this feels like a nightmare, distant and unreal. But for millions, this was life day after day, year after year. As the fire crackles softly, let their strength settle in your mind, a quiet defiance against the cold. You wake to a guard's shout, the metal rod clanging against the barracks wall like a hammer on your skull. Your muscles scream, your stomach gnaws like a living thing. But you pull on your boots. One thought drives you, survive today. The clang echoes in the pre-dawn dark, a brutal alarm that rips you from a dream of warm bread and your daughter's laugh. You force yourself upright on the splintered bunk, your breath clouding in the frigid air of the Kalima barracks. The lice under your shirt stir, itching fiercely, but you've learned to ignore them. Around you, shadows move other prisoners, gaunt and hollow-eyed, hauling themselves up to face another day. The guard shouts again, his voice raw with impatience. "Out! Roll call!" You shove your feet into boots that pinch like traps. Their soles worn so thin, you feel every pebble. Your coat, patched with scraps of burlap, smells of sweat and damp wool, but it's your only shield against the cold. You stumble outside, joining the ragged line forming in the snow-dusted yard. It's minus 30 degrees Celsius, the kind of cold that makes your eyelashes stick together when you blink. The sky is still black, stars sharp as needles, and the watchtower's searchlights sweep across you like predators' eyes. You stand shoulder to shoulder with your brigade, trying to keep your teeth from chattering as the guards count heads. One prisoner, a thin man with a cough like a death rattle, is missing. The count drags on, and your toes go numb in your boots. You glance at the empty space where he stood yesterday, knowing he's either dead or dragged to the punishment cell. Anna, the professor from your barracks, stands beside you, her face carved with exhaustion, but her eyes steady. She whispers, "Keep your head down. Don't give them a reason." Finally, the guards wave you forward, and you trudge to the mess hall, a low building, reeking of boiled cabbage and mold. Breakfast is the same as always, 400 grams of black bread, dense and sour, and a tin cup of soup so thin you can see the bottom. You cradle the bread like a jewel, breaking off a piece to eat now, tucking the rest inside your shirt. You've seen men beaten bloody for a stolen crust, and you're not foolish enough to leave it unguarded. The soup burns your tongue, but cools too fast. Its warmth a fleeting ghost in your empty stomach. You sip slowly, scanning the room. Most prisoners eat in silence, their spoons scraping tin bowls, but a few barter in hushed tones, mittens for a spoon, a needle for a potato scrap. This is the camp's economy, where everything has a price, and trust is rarer than food. The whistle shrieks and you're herded to the work site, a frozen stretch of taiga where trees stand like silent witnesses. Your brigade's task is to feel timber, each swing of the axe sending shocks up your raw hands. The quota cubic meters of wood feels like a sentence, impossible to meet yet tied to tomorrow's rations. Anna works nearby, her movements slow but deliberate. A lesson she taught you. Look busy, move slow. Energy is life. You mimic her, pacing your swings to save strength, your breath puffing in white clouds. The ground is iron hard, the air so cold it stings your lungs, and your boots slip on ice patched with sawdust. A guard paces, his rifle slung low, shouting at a young prisoner who fumbles his axe. The boy scrambles, but the guard's baton cracks against his shoulder, and he crumples with a whimper. You keep your eyes on your work, your heart pounding, knowing any misstep could make you next. Your hands, wrapped in rags torn from a dead man's shirt, bleed from the axe's rough handle. Frostbite threatens your fingers, their tips graying despite your efforts to rub them warm. You think of Isaac, the prisoner doctor you met last week, who smeared pine resin grease on your blisters and said, "Keep them moving or you'll lose them." Isaac works in the tool shed today, a coveted assignment that spares him the taiga's bite. You envy him, but you're learning the camp's unwritten rules. Better assignments go to those who trade favors, information or goods. You have nothing to offer yet, just your stubborn will to endure. At midday, a break 10 minutes to gulp, weak tea from a dented kettle, and choke down. Another crumb of bread. You huddle with your brigade, backs to the wind. And over here, a rumor. A new guard regime is coming, stricter than the last. Anna snorts softly. They're all the same. Just stay invisible. You nod, but your eyes drift to Victor, a criminal prisoner lounging nearby, his gold tooth glinting as he laughs with a guard. Victor's a thief, arrested for robbery but thriving here. Criminals like him rule the camp's underbelly, exploiting political prisoners like you, teachers, poets, engineers branded enemies of the state. Yesterday, Victor offered you half a potato to share a few names about your brigade. You refused, but his smirk lingers, a warning that he's watching. Anna leans close, her voice a blade. He's a snake. Trust only us. The afternoon stretches, each axe swing heavier than the last. Your arms tremble. Your vision blurs from hunger, but you push on, driven by the thought of your wife's face, her voice saying, "Come home." When the whistle finally blows, you stagger back to camp, the sky bruising purple. Roll call again, another endless count under the searchlights. Then you're released to the barracks. You collapse onto your bunk, the wooden slats creaking under your weight. The air smells of infection and smoke from the stove. Its heat too weak to reach your corner. You eat your last bread scrap, chewing slowly to trick your stomach. But the hunger claws deeper, a beast you can't tame. As the barracks settle, Anna gathers a small group in the shadows, her voice barely above a whisper. "Listen," she says, and begins reciting Pushkin, the words flowing like a forbidden prayer. Asterisk, I loved you, and that love, perhaps, still burns within my soul. You close your eyes, the poem painting colors in the grayness fields of wheat, a lover's smile. Another prisoner, Fodor, a lanky man with scarred hands, pulls out a crude flute carved from a branch. He plays a folk tune, soft and halting, the notes trembling in the cold air. The music pierces your chest, a reminder of festivals back home, of life before this hell. You forget the lice, the hunger for a moment, lost in the melody. But a guard's boots thud outside, and Fodor hides the flute under his bunk. The guard bursts in, his eyes narrowing. "Who's playing?" He snarls. No one speaks. He curses and leaves, but the threat hangs heavy. A reminder that even beauty is a risk here. Anna leans close, her voice fierce despite its softness. "They can take our bodies, but not our minds. This," she taps her temple, "is our rebellion." You nod, clutching the memory of Fodor's tune like a secret weapon. Across the barracks you see a newcomer, a girl no older than your daughter, shivering on her bunk. Her bread is gone, stolen while she slept. You hesitate, your own hunger screaming, then break off a crumb from your hidden stash and press it into her hand. She stares, eyes wide, then whispers, "Thank you." Anna watches, a faint smile breaking her stern face. "We survived together," she says, "or not at all." You lie back, the barracks groaning under the wind's assault. Victor's silhouette moves in the corner, his whispers to a trustee chilling your spine. The camp's hierarchy presses down guards at the top, criminals like Victor below them, politicals like you at the bottom. Yet Anna's words, Fodor's music, and the girl's gratitude weave a fragile thread of hope. You're learning to navigate this world, to guard your strength and your soul. The fire in your mind burns low but steady, fueled by memories of home and the defiance of those around you. In your cozy bed now, imagine finding strength in a whispered poem, hope in a shared crumb. As the fire crackles softly, let their courage settle in your heart, a quiet rebellion against despair. Winter descends and the cold feels alive, cutting through your thin coat like 1,000 knives. You're a ghost of yourself, ribs sharp under skin, but something inside refuses to break. The wind howls outside the barracks, a relentless beast clawing at the walls. It's January in Kolyma, and the cold is a living thing, sinking into your bones at -50 degrees Celsius. You wake on your bunk, the wooden slats biting into your back, your breath freezing in your nose. The air smells of damp wool and sickness, the stove's faint glow mocking the icy draft that seeps through the cracks. You pull your coat tighter, its patches fraying, and wiggle your toes to keep the frostbite at bay. Your boots, now more holes than leather, offer little protection, but you've learned tricks from Isaac, the prisoner doctor. Wrap your feet in rags, keep them moving. Curl into a ball at night to trap what warmth you can. You rise, your muscles stiff, your stomach a hollow ache that never sleeps. The guard's shout pierces the dark out. Roll call, and you stumble into the yard, the snow crunching underfoot like broken glass. The sky is a bruised gray, the stars gone, swallowed by clouds heavy with more snow. You line up with your brigade, shivering as the searchlights carve shadows across gaunt faces. The count is slower today. 2 prisoners are missing, their bunks empty. Anna, standing beside you, her scarf pulled tight around her face, mutters, "They didn't make it." You don't ask if it was cold, hunger, or the guards' batons. The answer is always the same. The guards finish, barking orders, and you trudge to the work site, a frozen expanse where the taiga meets the sky. Your task is the same: fell trees, drag logs, meet the quota that looms like a guillotine. The cold makes every swing of the axe a torture, the handle sticking to your raw palms, the blade snapping against frozen wood. Your breath forms ice on your scarf and your fingers, despite Isaac's pine resin grease turned gray at the tips. You move slowly as Anna taught, conserving energy, but the quota presses harder in winter, when hunger and cold conspire to break you. A boy in your brigade collapses, his lips blue, and the guards drag him away. You don't look, but the image burns into your mind, joining the ghosts of others lost to the snow. Hunger is your constant companion, a clawing beast that whispers of desperate acts. You've seen prisoners eat pine needles, chew bark, even boil leather scraps from torn boots. Last week, a rumor spread of a man who traded his last spoon for a fistful of snow-dusted berries, only to find them poisonous. You guard your bread 400 grams today, a small victory for meeting yesterday's quota, eating it crumb by crumb, hiding the rest inside your shirt, but the hunger grows, tempting you to take risks. Victor, the criminal with the gold tooth, sidles up during a break, his breath sour as he offers a potato, half rotten but precious. "Just tell me who's slacking in your brigade," he says, his eyes glinting. You hesitate, the potatoes weigh heavy in his hand, but Anna's warning echoes. He's a snake. You shake your head, turning away, though your stomach screams in protest. Back in the barracks, the cold follows you, the stove's heat fading before it reaches your bunk. You lie awake, the coughs and groans of others filling the air like a grim chorus. Your mind drifts to home, to your wife's voice, your daughter's laugh, but the memories blur, fraying like your coat. You've developed what Anna calls Gulag mind, a hypervigilant focus on survival, counting steps in a blizzard, checking your bread, watching for Victor's shadow. It keeps you alive, but it risks turning you into one of the walking dead, those prisoners whose eyes are empty, their spirits broken. You fight it, clinging to small acts of defiance. Yesterday, you noticed a snowdrop pushing through the melting snow near the latrine, its white petals fragile but unyielding. You sketched it in your mind, a secret rebellion against the grayness, a reminder of beauty you refuse to forget. One night, as the wind screams outside, Anna gathers your small group in the barracks corner, her voice a whisper to avoid the guards. "We need warmth tonight," she says, "not from the stove, but from here." She taps her chest. You and the others Fodor, the flute player, the young girl you gave bread to, a quiet engineer named Leflin Close. Anna begins, her voice soft but steady. "I remember a summer day, the sun hot on my face, the smell of fresh bread in my mother's kitchen." Fodor adds, "A festival in my village, music and dancing under the stars." You hesitate, then speak. "My daughter running through a field, her laughter like bells." The words weave a fragile warmth, a shield against the cold. And for a moment, the barracks fade, replaced by memories of life before. The girl, her voice trembling, whispers, "My brother's hand in mine, walking to school." You all fall silent, the shared ritual binding you, a defiance of the system that wants you reduced to numbers. But the camp's cruelty never relents. A new guard arrives, his rules harsher, his baton quicker. He cuts breaks to 5 minutes, extends work to 16 hours some days. You see him beat Lev for asking about a missing ration, the crack of wood on bone echoing in the yard. Victor thrives under the new regime, his deals with the guards growing bolder. He corners you again, his voice low. "One name and I'll get you kitchen work warmth, extra food." The offer tempts you, a vision of soup and his stove, but you think of Anna's poetry, Fodor's music, the girl's gratitude. You shake your head, choosing loyalty over hunger. Though the cost feels heavier each day, hope flickers in unexpected places. One morning, a rumor spreads. Prisoners in another camp. Kenjer seized control last year, holding it for weeks before tanks crushed them. The story, whispered between work shifts, ignites a spark. If they could fight, so can you not with fists, but with your mind, your memories, your refusal to break. Spring creeps in, the snow thinning, and you see more snowdrops, their delicate blooms defying the frost. Birds return, their calls faint but piercing, a sound you thought you'd forgotten. You share this with Anna, who smiles, her face lined but alive. "They took our freedom," she says, "but not our stories. Remembering is our immortality." You've survived a year, your body thinner, your spirit scarred but unbroken. The Gulag's truth, carried by survivors like Solzhenitsyn, will one day reach the world, exposing this frozen hell. You think of your family, their faces clearer now, and vow to carry their memory, to live for them. The snowdrops, the birds, Anna's words, their proof that life persists, that the human spirit can endure even this. In your warm bed now, think of those who carried hope through hell. As the fire crackles and bird calls fade, let their stories live in you, a testament to the spirit nothing could crush.